change.
Hey, whatever happened?
Hey, listen, it's better than the alternative.
I'll tell you, man.
Here we are.
Who are we missing here?
See you in September.
Commissioner Richardson, good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Maddox,
Yo, what's up?
how are you?
I'm good. Good.
What's going on? Where's the fourth one? Man, I thought we're ready to.
Welcome back. Hope everybody had a inconsequential, calm, fairly quiet
Insignificant.
break.
Several days.
I know I did.
When your lights come back. Oh, man.
We haven't met in a while, and not much has happened since then. Mr. Pingree, I'm going to pass this off to you now.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome to the September 12th, 2016 Board of Directors meeting for Blueprint Intergovernmental Agency, of course. First item is agenda modifications. Staff does have a few to note. Items number 5 and number 6, respectively, we're requesting be moved to consent. Item number 12, we note, has been revised and attached to the proper modification package. We have requested that item 13 be pulled and that it be considered at a special meeting on October the 27th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. That last bit being the update under your agenda at the end next Board of Directors meeting, which would be October the 27th, a special meeting specifically for that important work. And the only other additional note, Mr. Chairman, is we do note with our apologies that we had inadvertently misspelled Commissioner Daley's name in the minutes. We will correct that for the formal record. Sorry.
You're in trouble.
I am.
Just curious, how did we spell it? I'm done.
5 and 6 to consent, yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see. Neil, is he here yet? Do we need to delay this report or just move on to the next meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Fleckenstein cannot make it.
Okay.
We do not have any presentations for the informational items today unless that is the will of the board.
Nope.
Motion for agenda modification?
Oh.
I'm sorry?
Motion for agenda modification?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. I guess we're on consent now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Any other discussion on consent? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. So we are on item 10.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, item number 10 is proposed revisions to the Citizen Advisory Committee's bylaws, policies, and procedures. This is to address the change for the membership of the CAC as provided for in the second amended and restated interlocal agreement, which was approved by the City Commission and the County Commission recently. We're here to answer any questions. You see detail in your analysis, and staff recommendation is for approval.
I move staff recommendation.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 11, sir.
Yes, in accordance with item number 10, there were 3 new appointments. These are appointments that have not been before this body for approval previously. This is for the updated amended Citizens Advisory Committee. You see them there before you, one from the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, one from the Capital City Chamber of Commerce, and one from NEBA. Staff is recommending approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 12.
Item number 12, moving along, is an update on the Northeast Gateway with Welounee Boulevard funding strategy. Significantly, Commissioners, as you recall, back in February, you gave us the direction to pursue as many partnerships on this as we could to leverage outside funding. The State Infrastructure Bank Fund was one such target to enable us to be able to qualify, to even apply, as your analysis will outline. We need to have PD&E and design completed. This update, and I can pivot to Mr. Hargraves for further detail, but this update enables that to occur.
Any discussion? Any questions?
No. I do have one comment.
Would you like a presentation by Charles? or you want to just get into discussion right away?
I don't care, whatever you prefer.
Why don't you
Mr.
go
Chair.
ahead, Commissioner Miller?
I just wanted to point out that the Citizen Advisory Committee had made 2 points. One of those points was that they want to know how people are going to access the highway and how the traffic flow in the entire area is going to work. And that's something that I think we should be talking about sooner rather than later. We want people to use the highway in the alternative way that we hope that it will to Thomasville Road. But in order to do that, we might have to look at the entire area all the way beyond Bradfordville, the whole circulatory pattern between Thomasville and Mahan, and then that way we'll be ready to get people over to the road that we are about to build them.
Good suggestion. Commissioner Dozier, did you,
Mr. Chair,
you look
thank
like you wanted to say something.
I actually, sorry, Mr. Chair, I just saw an email come back from Wayne Tedder. I had asked a question about the Thornton Road extension and the map in the item, but I believe that Charles and Wayne, everyone has answered that question, and there was nothing else we needed to discuss today, correct?
Except for updated map.
Except for updating the map, yes, sir. Thank you very much. And I can explain the question if you want, but thank you for at least seeing my face there.
I
think
recognize
they-
that face, Commissioner Dozier.
Shocking, yes.
We served together enough.
I ask questions when I have them, yes. But the Thornton Road extension was something we dealt with a number of years ago. Citizens asked about it just a few months ago. So the map shows us going close to Arundel, and I just wanted to clarify this, but it is as the agreements, as the decisions were made a few years ago. So I'm good with that, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Entertain a motion, or is this information? I'm sorry.
No, we actually
Motion.
have
So moved. Staff recommendation.
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, your next item 13 has been removed, and as we will wait on the public hearings until 5:30, I do believe your next item is number 6, citizens to be heard.
We can go ahead and get to that now, since we have time.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I'm sorry, yes, Commissioner Dozier.
I understand, I mean, normally the project updates are on consent or just an informational item, but sometimes you all give us a little bit of information on that. I know there's a lot of folks here thinking about the sound wall, the status of all of that and everything. I'm not sure if any of them put in comment cards, but if they did, I wondered if we could get a brief update from the project updates on that piece before we hear from folks in the audience. Or, Mr. Chair, it's at your discretion.
The only citizen card I have is on item 12.
Okay.
Oh, which just went, okay. Johanna,
Maybe receiving one.
We make it, yes. Well, I suppose particularly,
Yeah, sorry. Probably should ask. Mr. Chairman, noting that the one citizen's card that
just saw that.
you have here was for item number 12, which was just approved. Is Mr. Von Tall available? Did you have comments you wanted to give, sir?
Go ahead and come on up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Notice this.
I just wanted to address the bike lanes on Welounee Boulevard. They're currently in the plan for a 4-foot wide bike lane, which is kind of the absolute minimum standard by the NACTO and the AASHTO and the state. Actually, the current standard is a 7-foot buffered bike lane along state highways. So I would propose to make this at least a 5 or a 6-foot bike lane, perhaps a 6-foot buffered bike lane, especially in view of the increased traffic that might be there from the Welounee area, which is kind of one of the things that is hoped for this road to relieve a little bit Thomasville Road, but then it would be good to have the bike lanes there a little bit wider than the 4-foot that are in the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Since we have some time for Commissioner Dozier's suggestion, I'm going to go ahead and have Mr. Pingree give us some update on some of our items.
appreciate that, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, and I don't know if the public has had the opportunity to look at this. This is, of course, available for your inspection. But I would draw your attention to item number 2, page 2 of 4. on the sound wall, acknowledging, and, you know, staff has been aware of some of the significant conversation on this and anticipating there may be some public comment. The high-level version analysis for the IA at this point in time is, as you may recall, you received an update on this at your last meeting. When it comes to the sound wall, you effectively, using layman's term, had asked for a timeout or a pause button be pressed. And that pause button be pressed on the sound wall issue until such time as the city and the city commission could consider what uses, prospectively, they would like to consider on the land that the city uniquely owns. That is being developed. Our understanding is that that is imminent to come before the city commission for that full consideration at their second meeting in October. Once the city has, city commission rather, has taken that staff analysis, has given their direction on what they wish to do or pursue or review for their land, their 9+ acres, we would then bring back the sound wall issue in accordance with your standing direction from the last IA meeting at the very next IA meeting. At this point in time, my best estimate is that will be your regular February 2017 intergovernmental agency meeting. But that is really the update and the posture. So happy to answer any questions on that, but I hope that that's clear both to this board and then also to the good citizens that are in the audience.
Mr. Chairman, the only question I've been getting, I think all of us have some email on this, and there's a suggestion a comp plan amendment would be needed and so forth. Is there any, do we have any information as if it would go beyond what the city commission would decide and on to that level?
I'm going to have Wayne Tedder come up and make some comments, hopefully provide an answer for you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. At this point in time, that decision has not been made. It's going to be part of the discussion that we will have to bring before the City Commission. I do anticipate that discussion to occur probably no later than the last meeting in October. I think we're at a point where we're getting all the information that was requested assembled. So that's going to be a discussion. If there is a change of use of that property to residential, a comp plan amendment would be required. So yes, that would be required if a change of use is recommended by the City Commission. But if not, there's no comp plan amendment needed. So we kind of got to work through that a little bit. Okay. And then even if that is the case, the current comp plan amendment cycle starts really in about 2 months from now. So it would be something that most likely, if one is recommended, it would follow that process, which would conclude about June of next year.
Thank you.
Question on that point, Wayne, before you walk away. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So just listening to that schedule, and I know this is challenging because Blueprint only meets 3 times a year, right? Our next meeting is until February. But it sounds like should the city decide they want to move forward with the residential component there, and I do have another question about that. I don't know if you want to stay up there or if it's for you guys, but it sounds like in that scenario, you would have to initiate from the city a comp plan change request prior to this board discussing anything. And I understand it's city property and the city may take that direction, but I do have some concerns because even though I was never in favor of the wall itself, we did take that vote a year ago. And so I am in favor, obviously, of reviewing other options. I'm glad for that. But we're looking at 18 months, or more before this board gets to talk about that again and to reflect on any sound mitigation that might come from that residential development, and then a long time to develop that. Is all of that accurate? I mean, I think, just some clarity on the time here is what I'm looking for.
Timing's pretty much accurate. Yes, it's been a year since the direction was given. Then the discussion at the County Commission retreat about weatherization, and then staff doing an analyzation of whether or not that weatherization would have any mitigating impacts. They reported at your last IE meeting that The consultant who looked at it said, no, it will not have any positive or negative impacts for the sound mitigation. So they were in posture to move forward with the conceptual design of the wall at that point. That's when the pause button was pressed. So now we're talking about October, City Commission reviewing the data that we were asked to provide to them, getting a recommendation from the City Commission. Your comp plan is a joint comp plan amendment cycle, so there will be opportunities for you to meet together outside of your IE meetings.
Good point, yeah.
So the difference between the comp plan amendment cycle is for that particular piece of property, if the city decides to do a comp plan amendment, it will be a city decision. The county can make a recommendation because it is a joint comp plan amendment, but it's the City Commission's action that effectuates the change of the comp plan amendment.
Sure, okay. That is helpful, and because from the county side we don't have, and we're not seeing these updates, I'm just curious if you can illuminate the choice to have Department of Place do a concept design. I'm just, as I've been thinking about this, I mean, like for CRA and others, we're just issuing an RFP. We have some general parameters, and then we allow a developer to come back and give us a design. Did you all want to work through and see what worked there and everything? And I'm basing this because obviously I represent Myers Park, and I mean, but as Commissioner Lindley said, we're all hearing from neighbors, and for the county side, I think we'd like to just understand a little better, since we have this opportunity, what the city's focus is on that.
So, Commissioners, the biggest unknown that we have at this point is the property is in the Myers Park Historic Preservation District, which means that whether it be a wall, whether it be any type of development, they have to demonstrate to the Architectural Review Board that it is consistent with the historic preservation policies that, in this particular case, that is adopted by the City Commission. So regardless of what is proposed on that site, it's going to have to go through something outside of a comp plan amendment. It may be very wise to get some input from that ARB at some point in this process to determine, you know, would a wall be something that they would recognize as an appropriate solution? Would development? Regardless, whatever that use has to meet the approval of the ARB. You cannot make that decision for them. The ARB is going to be the deciding vote as to exactly what is constructed on that piece of property and how it's constructed.
Okay.
So it's a good body to protect the residential preservation, the historic preservation that has been adopted throughout the committee. It's a good check and balance to make sure that whatever is proposed on that piece of property satisfies your rules and regulations that you have adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just bouncing off Commissioner Lindley's comments there. If you've got citizens, I don't mind sitting back for a minute.
There's one at this point. Any other questions from commissioners? I'll go ahead and go back to public comment. Robert Clay.
Citizens, while Mr. Clay comes up, if there's anyone who does wish to speak on this portion of the agenda, please do fill out the card and bring it forward, and your voice will be heard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm Vice President of the Myers Park Homeowners Association. We had a meeting with a joint meeting with the Woodland Drives Association about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And as an outgrowth of that meeting, or the output of that meeting, the neighborhood created a position statement, and here it is. I apologize for reading it to you, but we tried to carefully craft it, so I will read it to faithfully reflect what we said. Statement regarding integrity of the comprehensive plan and the potential development of parkland. The Myers Park Neighborhood Association supports and encourages the responsible redevelopment of underutilized, built-up property and unused private property, when this is consistent with the comprehensive plan and zoning. The association understands the peril of urban sprawl and the desirability of responsible infill. However, the Myers Park Neighborhood Association, as a matter of public policy, opposes opportunistic changes to the comprehensive plan and spot zoning. The comprehensive plan and zoning constitute a fiduciary responsibility between the government and the citizens, whereby citizens purchase property, pay taxes on that property for many years, and make improvements to their property with the expectation that government will protect their property and investment. The comprehensive plan and zoning should be used as a guide for development on a long-term and large-scale basis, Changes to them should not be made on a parcel-wise or small area incremental basis to the advantage of a few and the disadvantage of many impacted neighbors. The Myers Park Neighborhood Association also opposes, as a matter of public policy, the sale and development of public, open space, and recreational land. The association particularly opposes the sale and development of the City Parks and Recreation and Neighborhood Affairs office parcel. The parcel is designated as open space in the 2030 Comprehensive Plan. It is designated as parkland by the city-owned online property mapping application. It links two signature parks, Myers Park and Cascades Parks. Such green space is a precious and unrenewable city resource. It should be retained by the public for the benefit of current and future generations. In addition, foliage and parks are a primary noteworthy characteristic of Tallahassee, and both are often cited as key attributes in bringing people into our community. Destroying such a part of our park system is short-sighted and inconsistent with both our values and our continued attractiveness. The City Parks and Recreation and Neighborhood Affairs office complex is an important part of the city legacy and is a key attribute, and serves a vital public function and neighborhood purpose. It's where we vote and where we hold meetings. Furthermore, it is heavily used, and thus under existing city policy, it cannot be considered as surplus and therefore cannot be sold. This is City Commission Policy 136, Real Estate Property 136.13. The association understands a change in the above-mentioned city policy is being considered in part to facilitate the change of the sale of this parcel. Such an opportunistic sale of public parkland is, in our judgment, a violation of public trust. Thank you for taking my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, unless someone's got some comments, we're going to take a 5-minute break until our public hearing at 5:30, if that's okay. Break then. See you all back in 5 minutes. Sure. We need Curtis back?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, yeah. No, I think you're good.
Going to go ahead and call the public hearing.
We had already started.
Sorry, Mayor.
I'll have my seat, Chair.
Mr. Dozier. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. And I don't have any speaker cards. Does anybody have a desire to speak on the public hearing? Okay.
Mr. Pendry? Yes, thank you very much, sir. So if anyone would like to speak, of course, just bring forward the blue form that's at the back of the room. Thank you for participating in this second and final public hearing on the operating budget. Two budget items. Item number 14 covers the proposed fiscal year 2017 blueprint operating budget. The first public hearing was held back on August the 11th at the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting without public speakers, and moving forward in good posture here for you today. Commissioners, at a high level, expect the continuity and the continuance of the excellence in public service from your blueprint body with 0.23% less operating budget. Obviously, there is significant detail, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have. But you do see continuation on the blueprint infrastructure side. On the Blueprint Office of Economic Vitality side, I would just like to affirm for the record that your standing guidance to us to develop a budget within the existing means of prior years, both at the city and the county respectively, is fully accomplished with this document. You see the resolution as attached, which we are recommending your consideration and approval of, and that should conclude initial staff comments for this.
Commissioner Lindley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the work in here, and also I'm really glad to see that some of the consulting work is going to be brought in-house at a considerable savings. We saw last week how communications are just like central to the tranquility of a community. And so I was wondering, how do you distinguish the difference between communications and marketing and public relations and strategic communications? Because we kind of have like one in-house position and the other is the 6-month plan. And they're defined. One is called communications and marketing, and the other is PR and strategic communications.
I think that they're complementary, I would have to say, and I don't mean to get into a nuanced conversation between the two. What we find is there's actually, in terms of the outside consultant, I think we have a firm on board in this current construct that is best positioned to service the needs of the Blueprint office. And I don't believe necessarily that might have been the way previously. In terms of the day in, day out public information, communications, and marketing that's required for not just the infrastructure component, but now the expanded Office of Economic Vitality side, we identify that there was an enhanced need to actually bring somebody fully on board in-house to do the day in, day out blocking and tackling, if you will, and that is the reason for that modification there. So the long and the short of it is we were able to save significant dollars by having a directly hired individual rather than contracting it out through actually 2 sub-consultants with the overhead that's sort of affiliated with that. And for those additional items that it's beneficial to outsource for because you want the economy of scale, we believe we were able to identify a local vendor that is best situated to provide that additional marketing type of knowledge beyond what one internal staff person may have.
So sort of bigger marketing strategies for the
external.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you. Okay. I just wondered why we were kind of making those distinctions on 2 different levels, basically.
Understood.
Commissioner Dozier.
Yeah, I think this was a good line of question. Thank you, Commissioner Lindley. And Ben, you just said you didn't want to get into a nuanced conversation, but I think
Oh, that's
I think you were looking for, I heard your question is looking for details. What would an outside marketer do that we couldn't do inside, unless it's more the strategy versus actual marketing? Could you distinguish, I mean, just an example of what they might do that we couldn't do in-house?
Good question.
Well, I think.
I mean, well, let me say, Ben, during the Blueprint sales tax extension, there was a campaign.
Correct.
And there was use of an outside consultant, and I think, you know, there are times to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that there will be opportunities for the various projects that are coming forward, including as we close out Blueprint 2000, certainly as we ramp up towards Blueprint 2020. I do think some of the larger marketing components, you do want some of the outside counsel.
What would those marketing components be? That's my, what would be, I mean, this sounds like an ongoing contract.
It could be, yeah, it could be. It could be moving forward. It could be for a comprehensive strategic marketing plan, the development of that. It could be doing strategic marketing for a project-by-project basis moving forward, for example. I'm just trying to think.
Would it be like the 12% economic development? Would that be a separate sort of piece that would require specific marketing? I mean, that's going to get a lot of attention. And
yes. I would think that that would be included in this, absolutely.
Nice. Okay.
Right.
I guess for me, I wasn't even going to bring up this question, but it seems like when we hire outside consultants, we have some specific things that they're going to be working on. So I guess for my part, and I'm hearing that in your question again, Commissioner Lindley, that just more details on what consultants would be working on might be helpful.
Completely understood, and I'd be happy to report that back. I do want to state to be very clear that right now we have a time-sensitive external consultant contract, and I can provide a copy of that contract because it does have specific details. What is being proposed in the 2017 budget specifically is an internal one person.
Taking over where
Correct.
the contract is leading off.
Whereas what existed on February the 1st of 2016 was one full-time internal person and then an external consultant with a person affiliated with it that was in-house but had 2 layers of administrative costs and overhead.
And I do like it that it reports directly to the staff and the board, too.
Correct.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other comments? Commissioner Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ben, I had a couple of questions concerning the MWBE program on page 191. You have the operating budget for that office is $392,762. How does that compare to the budgets of the 2 separate offices before they were combined?
I'm going to defer. Well, I'll try and handle the question directly, but I'm going to make sure that staff is keeping me focused here. I think that there's actually less staff, so I think it's a smaller amount. Do you remember the consolidated, what it was before for both of those functions, Christina?
It's like you've got 70,000 per person.
The county had 1 full-time position and a half a position, and the city, I believe, had 3 full-time positions at the time. The staff total now has 3 full-time positions.
Correct.
So there's been a position and a half eliminated from that office. Is that what I'm understanding?
As consolidated.
Right.
Less than when there were 2 separate offices. I think that's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. And I guess the reason I asked that question in particular is because what I heard from the past director time and time again was that they were understaffed and most of their time and effort was spent on the administrative stuff, the paperwork, the certification, and they couldn't be out in the field seeing if, in fact, what was supposed to be going on was going on. And so that led to abuse on both sides. And so that's why I'm concerned that we've got fewer staff now than before the office was consolidated, and are they going to be hampered in that same respect?
Well, I think it is absolutely fair to say that we want to ensure maximum productivity of this office, unequivocally. Now, are we able to capture some cost savings through the consolidated effort and at the same time, not mutually exclusive, improve service outcomes? That is the goal. But I would note, and I would turn to the fact that we are now about to embark upon a joint RFP for an updated disparity study that will speak to the full consolidation of the offices. And I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but that study may have recommendations that relate to the staffing level and most importantly to the service level. It's the service objectives that are critical. For the fiscal year that's moving forward, we're comfortable and confident in the level that's before you and the achievement of the cost savings realized. But from a staff perspective, we also understand your concerns and completely noted, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that the disparity study was going to address staffing levels, so, okay. Well,
it will address functionality.
Okay.
And so how do you balance the internal work that's done within the governmental units to ensure that those that have been certified are getting fair access to the workload, and then also the external component, how you're projecting out into the community to get more people engaged with the MWSP programs toward certification.
All right.
We do anticipate that.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think that, and it's all, and I've had this discussion, I think that this office needs to be rebranded, and that it be seen as an integral part of our economic development efforts in this community. Rather than in the past, it's been seen as a burdensome government mandate. I think it can play an important role in building and growing our local minority and women-owned businesses in the community, which, you know, like I said, adds to economic development and job creation in the community. And so that's the direction that I hope this office will begin to take under our new leadership, and that this disparity study will give us some information that we can use for the next fiscal year, and like you said, Ben, in terms of its functionality. Right. And how it can be integrated into what we're hoping to achieve in terms of economic development and job creation in the community.
Sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments, questions? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Having none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, item number 15, the second component of the public hearing, and this is the adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2017 and 2017 through sales tax allocation plan and the 2017 to 2020 capital improvement plan. Two significant attachments for this. The short version is this is the allocation, the clear project by project identification and allocation, where you can see the money that's being expended on those priority blueprint projects. Defer to Charles to walk through the two attachments, or the one table and then the one attachment, please.
Commissioners, we've got the table up on the overhead here. It's found in the agenda item on page 205. It shows specific deallocations of 3 projects that were completed that had some remaining budgets left. So we're deallocating those and reallocating those same dollars to the projects below that with the next fiscal year's sales tax allocations. So going through this, I'm happy to go over any of them individually, but we're the $2 million going into the city's water quality is the programmed payback, or the pay forward of the $25 million, city's share of the water quality. The $46,948 was to make up some remaining funds left over from the Lake Lafayette floodplain. If you remember back at Falls Chase, we allocated $750,000 towards the possible purchase of land for Greenway and set aside $300,000 for the construction of those, and this brings that $300,000 up fully funded. $500,000 for Capitol Circle Northwest to recapture our contingency on that project. Okay. some $100,000 for some continued investigation of Franklin Boulevard, $2,150,000 for Capitol Circle stormwater. This is the actual construction dollars for the stormwater facilities that we're designing and planning in advance of the construction of the segment between Orange Avenue and Spring Hill Road. The $3,102,021 is the dollars that we're dropping in to in this fiscal year to program Capitol Cascades Trail Segment 3D. $400,000 in Cascades Park for various things, including some drainage improvements, working with the alum system. 175, half of what we are going to allocate for Orange Avenue for the corridor study this year would be 175 this year and 175 in next fiscal year. And then the first fiscal year's payment towards the Welounee PD&E, 750,000, and then 300 for the 2020 sales tax extension, which I believe is for us to be able to advance some bike and greenway designs. So,
Commissioner Lindley.
I always like to bring up the little things. The $100,000 for Franklin Boulevard.
yes, ma'am.
This is in the 2017 budget. Does this mean those little bumps in the road are not going to be fixed until 2017 sometime? Because are those little things going to stand up in the road for me to narrowly avoid?
They don't stand up week to week sometimes.
Sometimes they're knocked over.
They were put there just for you.
Yeah.
I'm just
they
curious.
They were actually put there to keep traffic off of it while we did our evaluation. We are finalizing that report, and we'll be working with the county on some possible solutions for that.
So like fairly soon?
Yes.
Because it's gotten to be a
yes.
sort of an icon there. Those little, okay, all right.
It's a conversation piece for people. They like
Just
to know what those are for.
You know, yeah, you've got the $3 million issues, and then you've got the 100,000, which is meaningful to a lot of people.
Well,
Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor. I don't mean mayor, I mean chair.
Who wants to go first? Mayor.
No. She wants you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
She wanted
She wanted
you to
to call
acknowledge
you, and I kept saying mayor just out of
Commissioner
habit.
Miller.
Thank you very much. Well, actually, thank you, Commissioner Lindley, because I was going to bring that up too. People are not only going around them, they're driving into the bike lane to get around them, which could conceivably present an issue with a cyclist who's going down the road. So keeping that in mind, I think sooner is better than later if we could move along with this. And I mean, I know the whole watershed there is a very challenging water feature to manage with a whole lot of water going through. But I wish you the very best of luck. And in the meantime, I don't know what you can do to protect the cyclists, but I have a level of concern about people, weaving their way down Franklin Avenue into the bike lane.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dozier.
I thought on Franklin, the cyclists could be up on the sidewalk because it's a bidirectional sidewalk and there's a line down the middle. Is that correct, or I
There
can't
is a
envision it
multi-use
right
trail
now.
that allows
Over on the
bikes
west
or
side.
other uses, but there's also bike lanes.
There
on the
are
road.
also, right, so we may want to encourage people to, and let them know they can use the sidewalk in that area for the duration, and that may solve your issue, that a lot of folks want to use the road, and that's fine, but on that stretch, because I have seen that as well, I would love something to encourage folks to use those sidewalks since they're allowed.
Commissioner, we're working diligently with the consultant to try to identify what the issue is and move to the next step, which would be repairing that. We appreciate the comments, but we are trying to move that forward.
I was
quickly.
just bouncing off the bikes. I actually wasn't going to bug you about this one because I drive it almost daily, and I have seen the trucks out there doing the tests and everything. So I'm glad you all are in progress on that. Yes.
I think this is one of those where, yes, it needs to be repaired, and yes, we need to do it as quickly as possible. But if we all think back just a few years to what Franklin Boulevard used to be like and how far we've come, I think we all can probably come to an agreement that it's really a small matter, but we need to deal with it as quickly as possible.
And Mr. Chair, the only other comment I was going to make was we are all reflecting on what we've been through in the last couple weeks. And I remember a moment, and Wayne's going to be smiling in the back right now, of going down to Cascades on a Christmas Eve, the first time we got a big storm after it opened, or before it opened maybe, and taking pictures and texting them to Wayne. It's working. And that was really on my mind during this storm, that people talking about our preparations and other things like that. There's a lot of planning that goes into that, but the infrastructure that we've worked on, particularly in that area, I have no doubt prevented flooding during the hurricane, and that is very important, and it worked.
And the bowl at Leon did not even flood.
I walked down there, I saw it the day after. It was quite remarkable. So thank you. You're right. We need to keep that in mind, that if this is the only thing that we have to go back and look at, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the system worked to prevent property damage during this hurricane, and that was really huge.
Good perspective, Commissioner Dozier. Thank you.
Yes. Any other discussion? Entertain a motion to approve.
Move options 1 and 2.
Actually, 1 and 2, yeah.
1 and 2.
Second.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. I don't have any other cards for public comment, and since we already had at the beginning, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 10 minutes to 6.